Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I am doing a book review of Pulse by B.A. Bellec. This is part one of a series. It is from 2021. It's post-apocalyptic. This one's more kind of dystopian, and it's a self-published book. I received this book from R&R Book Tours as part of the, you guessed it, the book tour. So thank you to the author for signing my copy, though. That's so fun. Oh, that's so nice. I love that. Pulse is a dystopian horror novel that employs a blend of genres and multiple points of view to give us a story that is both a critique of our world and a creature feature horror that gradually morphs into an apocalypse story. This book has a lot of influences but still stands on its own as a really fun story. So, what's it about? Pulse is a multi-POV dystopian sci-fi horror thriller, said that already, set in 2040, centered around a corporation, a creature, and a music festival. Think Fire Festival, Black Mirror, and X-Files combined. The story deals with the themes of capitalism, consumerism, business, politics, pandemics, climate change, activism, and technology, while bouncing between a diverse group of characters sure to entertain almost anyone. The book is already being praised for its fantastic use of horror, engaging world-building, and genre-bending approach utilizing some screenplay-like formatting. This is the first entry in a new series with a sequel well underway. Okay, that didn't really tell us much. It's basically set in a world where one company has almost monopolized the entire market of everything, from food to electronics. I think there are like 8 companies they mentioned that own everything, all competing to own that much more from one another. The company's front is called Pulse, but they also have a hand in shaping U.S. politics via bribing politicians and government entities to overlook aspects of their business that are unsavory, the typical stuff, you know. As to be expected from this kind of topic, this is a dystopia where people aren't happy, they're struggling to survive, and social media has even more hold on people's lives. I think mainly because in this story it's hard to find happiness anywhere else, as food and nature and work-life balance are very hard to get. There are some anti-corporation groups in this book that want to expose some of the nefarious things Pulse has been doing to the public and plan to do so at this giant festival. What they didn't count on was a mutant creature wreaking havoc. So the novel is both a lot of fun and a critique of corporation culture and corrupt governments. It's about greed and selfishness and people working to combat these things. Those aspects I really loved and appreciated of the story. I was totally on board with the message here. In terms of characters, though, they felt a little flat for me because there are just so many of them. In terms of the types of stories I lean towards, character-driven is more my preference. So this one didn't dig into the characters as much as I prefer, but again, that's just a preference. This is not like a problem with the book. It's just kind of like how I like to read. So if you love a multi-POV story where the plot is explained like a mosaic, you know, where small parts build a big picture, you'll really like this one. And that's not to say I didn't care about the characters or wasn't invested in their fate. They all had motivations that made sense, and I was, pretty sad when a few of them didn't make it. The horror aspects of the novel are reminiscent of 80s creature feature movies. I just watched one last weekend called The Deadly Spawn, and that movie would have been horrifying if the animatronics weren't so silly. But this book is definitely not campy like that. The aspects of horror in this book are gory and gross, with no one being safe from the creature. It reminded me of Slither without the dark horror, and even a bit of The Thing. The horror parts were just awesome, honestly, and when those aspects ramped up near the end, I just flew through the book. I couldn't stop. Another thing, though, that didn't work for me, and again, this is a preference, is the dialogue and some scenes are told in this, screenplay-like format. I wasn't super keen on this, personally, as I found it drew me away from the story. Rather than being immersed in it, I felt like I was watching something. Now, some people might not have that reaction. They might really love this technique, and, I glanced at a few reviews to see if I was in the minority, and I totally was. Most people found it very engaging, so that's probably just me. So it's clearly not poorly done or anything like that. I'm just I don't know, weird? I don't know. Anyway, I just want to say that. In terms of plot, the story is intricately laid out, everything makes sense, and the story ends on a satisfying note that definitely leaves room for more. Although heavily dystopian, this novel isn't apocalyptic, but I'm guessing the sequel might be. So if you like apocalypse stories, this is a great, build to the apocalypse. Overall, Pulse is an exciting, fun, and also serious novel that will make you think about how much we let big corporations get away with, and about whether the end is coming sooner than we think. I mean, 2040 really isn't that far off. How old will I be in 2040? I don't want to know. Thanks.